Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on bjpenn.com. Episode 100. First off, appreciate everyone for listening. 100 episodes, kind of crazy, but it's a perfect event to do it because it is this stacked UFC 281 card. And first up, we're going to be joined by Frankie Edgar to preview his retirement fight against Chris Gutierrez. Always enjoy talking to Frankie, one of the legends of the sport. Obviously, him and BJ had those wars. They have a ton of respect for each other, but really good chat with Frankie to talk about why he decided this was the time to retire, getting retired at MSG, and then how kind of Chris Gutierrez came together and why it's not a legend like Cruz or another like notable veteran that he kind of grew up fighting alongside. But really good chat with Frankie as always. We're then going to be joined by Renato Moicano to preview his fight against Brad Riddell, the featured prelim headliner. This is a really good fight. Obviously, Moicano coming off that loss to RDA, a fight he took on short notice. He had a lot of success in that fifth round, but other than that, it was all RDA. Before that, he submitted Alexander Hernandez. As for Brad Riddell, he's coming up back-to-back losses to Jalen Turner and Rafael Fiziev. Riddell could honestly be fighting for his job. Obviously, you never know with 3 fights in a row, but he's a very exciting fighter. This is a fight that he's called for. It's a fight he's really looking forward to, and he thinks he can have a lot of success and kind of derail the bit of hype Riddell still has. We're then going to be joined by Chris Gutierrez to talk about his fight against Frankie Edgar and his opportunity to fight a legend. This is something he's wanted for a while. Obviously, it's very funny how him and Jonathan Martinez were really good friends, just weeks apart, going to fight legends. Obviously, Martinez beat Cub Swanson. Gutierrez now gets a chance to fight Frankie Edgar in his retirement fight. We're then going to be joined by Matt Frevola to preview his fight against Ottman Azaitar. This is a fight that's years in the making. They were supposed to fight in Abu Dhabi in January 2021 on the Poirier-McGregor 2 card. Didn't come to fruition due to Azaitar sneaking in something into Fight Island. It was never kind of revealed what it was. Frevola thinks it was drugs, but after 2 years, they finally get to make the fight, and Frevola really wants to make Azaitar pay, as he thinks he's going to be able to drag him into the deep waters and really kind of prove that he is the better fighter and this fight and just take his own and start kind of talk about maybe fighting these ranked guys at lightweight. And then we close things out talking to Andre Petroski to preview his fight against Wellington Turman. Andre coming off of a really impressive win over Nick Maximov last time out. Did a grappling match against Eric Anders, who he submitted. He's undefeated in the UFC other than the loss in Ultimate Fighter, which doesn't count, but very impressive 3-0. He's looking to really get a big win over Wellington Turman and then start talking about renegotiating a new deal. He's still in that tough contract. He wants a new contract, and he thinks a win over Turman, especially a stoppage win, can add some more hype where you start calling out these bigger name guys and getting more money. But be sure to share the show, subscribe, tune in next week for another episode, and thank you again for listening for all 100 episodes. All right, we're joined by UFC bantamweight Frankie Edgar, who's making that walk to the octagon for the final time here coming soon. Frankie, how's it going, man?
I'm good, Cole. How are you, my man?
I'm doing well. I always enjoy talking to you. Like, retirement fight, like, when did you kind of think like you would announce that this would be the final one?
When I was thinking of that I wanted to get back in there. Last year, the way the fight went, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. Then this summer, I started getting some consistent training, started feeling pretty good, and decided I wanted to do one more. And, with them coming to MSG, I thought it was just the perfect time.
Was it always going to be this MSG card for the final fight? Like, was that part of the request for your final fight was to be at MSG?
I don't know if that was. I think it just happened to work out that way. I heard they were coming here in November, and the timing just seemed to work right.
Chris Gutierrez, too. Like, how familiar were you with him when you got this call?
Yeah, to me, the opponent didn't matter. I told my team to figure it out. I never pick opponents. That's never my thing. I always just say yes. So my guys are telling me this, telling me that. I said, listen, you guys figure it out and let me know I'm fighting. So they got it done.
And then obviously your last fight, like, you were having a lot of success against Bear, then you got caught in that third round. And I remember after I was listening to your podcast, you said like you didn't remember a whole lot. Like, when were you like fully cleared to get back to training after that?
I actually got a surgery a month later, or a couple weeks later. After that, I had a back surgery. So pretty much, 6 weeks after that surgery, I started, getting back into shape a little bit. But like a month after that, I was, back in the gym, for the most part.
And then with Chris, like, he's one of these guys, like, he's not like a Ver Sandhagen, like, or these no guys he's been fighting lately. Like, is that harder to get up and prepare for a guy that just because, like, he's not as well known as some of those other guys, or does that kind of make you want to train harder because, like, people are thinking this is the guy you should beat?
Man, like I said, the opponents didn't even have any bearing on this fight at all to me. You know, name, no name. I mean, they're all good now in the UFC for the most part. Obviously, I've been fighting names my whole career, but yeah, I just wanted to get one in, and it just seemed to work out.
I know name didn't matter, but was there ever any talk of maybe like get you another legend on the way out so you could fight one of those like guys you kind of were fighting alongside for the longest time?
You know, I mean, I mentioned early on Dominic Cruz. I just thought, you know, we were kind of the trajectory that we both were on would have been made sense, but you know, he had a fight, I believe, in August, and you know, it didn't go so well for him, and you know, I don't know if he's banged up or whatnot. So yeah, I didn't want to wait around or anything like that. I kind of wanted to get this done.
Does camp change at all? Like with that last fight, like you just kind of have to leave everything out there? Or like, is it like what is it kind of like knowing this is it for you?
Yeah, it's you know, I mean, I've been saying it's bittersweet, but I've been enjoying this last camp. You know, usually when I'm 2 3 weeks out from a fight, I'm like, oh man, let's hurry up, let's get this done. You know, I'm ready to fight. I am feeling that way, but I'm appreciating the time left.
Uh, is it just the usual like working with Mark and the usual cast of crew up there in New Jersey?
Yeah, yep. I'm with Mark, Nada, Chris guys, training Tones, everybody. You know, but yeah, it's fun.
Oh, you're cutting out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm in one big little passive area in a second. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Oh, it seems to be a bit better now.
Cool.
With Chris, like, do you spend much time studying him, or do you kind of leave that up to Mark and the team then?
I wish like I did all my fights. You know, definitely watch some here and there, but for the most part, it's I let Mark come up with the plan, and my guys tell me what I need to worry about. But mainly the focus is me.
What do you think that walkout's gonna be like for you? Like, it's always special when you fight New York, but then especially with your last one, like, what do you think that walkout's gonna be like?
Yeah, yeah. Man, you know, it's gonna be goosebumps, man. You know, last time out, you know, in my backyard, with a lot of friends and family there. It's gonna be special.
With Chris, how do you kind of see this fight playing out then?
Yeah, you know, Chris is he's an accomplished striker, or, you know, unorthodox striker, I guess you could say. Throws a lot of different attacks on his feet. I could see this fight going anywhere. You know, I've been in there with just about every style, every body type. So, you know, just go in there, do my thing, and you know, be careful.
He throws a lot of leg kicks. Like, is that something that you've been training for, Cam, or is that just something like you kind of used to at this point of people always trying to go for your legs?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I fought a lot of guys that kicked my legs. I fought Aldo a couple times. You know, I
Mhm.
fought you know, a lot of guys that throw kicks, and you know, I seem to have, you know, pretty good defense for that. But yeah, that's something we got to worry about for sure.
He's a guy too, like on a good winning streak. Like, yeah, his one loss to the UFC. Like Parcells had a lot of success taking him down. His draw against Cody Durden, like he was just wrestling very well. Like, how important will wrestling be for you then in this fight?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's no secret that that I always look for takedowns in all my fights, and you know, this one will be no different. You know, just got to make sure I time my entries well, and if it's there, I'm going to go for it. But if we gotta slug it out, you know, I'm comfortable there as well.
Is there any pressure like to go with like a bang and get that finish? Or is it more just about like ending your career off with the win and like even if it's a decision?
I mean, you know, the way I fight, I fight hard. You know,
Mhm.
a lot of my fights end up with performance bonuses, fight of the nights. I never go in there saying I'm going to fight to win a performance bonus or I'm going to fight to finish. You know, I always go in there. I'm always looking for the finish, always looking to be active, and you know, whatever will be, will be.
Did you ever think of maybe taking this last fight at 45 so you didn't have to cut as much weight, or is your body pretty much 35 anyways?
Yeah, I think I'm a, you know, ever since I made that adjustment, you know, a few years back, I'm a 35er. I mean, I've probably been a 35er my whole career, to be honest with you. But yeah, I just felt 35 would be more fitting right now.
And then Jose Aldo retired recently. Like, what was that like for you to see like all these guys you kind of grew up fighting with and against, or like same with you, or just now kind of finally exiting out of the UFC?
Yeah, man, it's just the nature of this game. It's bound to happen. When I first got in, the first crop was like Matt Hughes, Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture. Those guys had to all eventually leave, and now this is our generation that's kind of going through it.
Have you really like looked back on your career, like seeing everything you accomplished? Is that something you plan to really do in retirement? Like you look back, you obviously had the wars with BJ, like the fights against Aldo, like Uriah, like all those guys you kind of, and then the Gray Maynard, obviously. Like, do you reflect back on that often? Or is that something you think you're gonna have to look when you're to retire and kind of go back and go through your career?
Yeah, I think that's probably more later on. I definitely go back to it. Talking to guys like yourself, and that definitely brings up some memories. When I'm old and I'm around my grandkids, I guess that's when I get to talk about them fights.
Yeah, because like I remember coming home from like elementary school, my dad would have like old UFC fights on, and I'd be watching like your fights from like the past weekend when I'd be in like grade like 6, 7. So like it's kind of surreal for me to be talking to you like for all this time. But like for you, is there a kind of a memory that stands out for you in your career?
I mean, winning the title is always special. Especially in my career, I've had a lot of ups and downs, even my wrestling career, and to be able to reach the pinnacle of the sport and win that lightweight title against at the time BJ Penn was the man, and that's a special moment for sure.
I was just saying, like, I just only have a couple more things. Like, you fought Aldo, Benson, BJ. Like, does anyone stick out to you of who you fought? Like, because you kind of fought some of the best to ever do it.
Yeah, those guys were definitely the top of the heap. I mean, it's tough to say who was the best at all of them. I mean, they're all formidable opponents and gave me great fights, and some I won, some I didn't. But it's cool to say that I fought the best guys. That was always my plan in this game, is to look back and say I fought everybody.
And the fight happens. Like, you lay down your gloves. Like, have you kind of thought about what that moment's gonna be like?
Repeat that again.
Oh, when the fight ends and like you lay down your gloves in the octagon, like have you thought about what that moment will be like? Because obviously that's going to be an emotional one. It's like for basically like what, like 20 years now, you've just been a UFC fighter.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not the most emotional person. But that's going to be an emotional moment, and I never even wanted to be the guy to say I was retiring. I just kind of wanted to walk away. I didn't want to make a spectacle of it. I'm not really that kind of guy, but I gotta put it in writing, in other words, and making sure that I do walk away, because I don't want to be a guy that's coming back and forth to this game.
That is something I remember from some of our other conversations. You didn't want this whole like thing about this is your final fight and every kind of known before. So like, what kind of changed then for you to be announced it before? Because you always said like that was something you're gonna do after the fight.
You're breaking up a little bit there. Sorry, man.
I was just saying, like, you and it's when we talked in the past, like it was always you weren't going to announce your retirement before the fight. It was something you're going to announce after. So what changed to announce it before the fight then?
Yeah, because I got to hold myself accountable. If I didn't do it before, I may never do it. You know what I mean? So I just, this is a way that I have to. I can't go back on my word.
Final thing, like you fought everyone. Can we talk about? Is there one fighter you wish you would have had the chance to fight in your career?
I don't know. Maybe Dominic Cruz. I thought that could have been a fun fight. Especially I was the champion at 55 when he was at 35. But yeah, I mean, I fought everybody. Not everybody. Some people are gonna slip through the cracks. That's the way it goes.
Well, Frankie, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this.
Cole, thank you, bro. You got it.
All right, we're joined by UFC lightweight Renato Moicano, who's back in action at MSG at UFC 281. Renato, how's it going, man?
Very good. How about you, my friend?
I'm doing well. I always enjoy talking to you. Like, obviously, last fight, kind of a crazy one, took it on short notice, had that 5 round war with RDA. We talked after, and you said you want a bit of time off. Like, was this the right amount of time off after that last fight?
Yeah, it was a good time. I could even fight like earlier the year, but they offered me the fight for November, and I thought like it was a good opponent, good card, and good time to prepare myself to the fight. So I think everything is perfect right now.
And you, when we did that interview after the RDA fight, you mentioned Bobby Green or Brad Riddell as opponents. So, how excited are you that you got Brad Riddell?
Yeah, I'm very excited, because Brad Riddell was in the top 15 before his last fight. So I feel winning over him gonna put me on that spot, and let's go, let's make some money, let's make a good fight for the fans, and that's it, brother.
What have you made of his UFC run? Like, started off looking very impressive, won 4 straight, and then obviously he lost back-to-back fights to Fiziev by knockout, and then was quickly submitted by Jalen Turner.
Yeah, Fiziev, he's a beast, he's a monster, he's a hell of striker, he's a really good striker. He just showed that against RDA. So I don't take anything from him to lose for Fiziev. And Turner is a very tall guy, and he got him with a a hook or
Mhm.
overhand or something like that, and he got him dizzy and put the guillotine. So I don't know. It's UFC, man. Everything can happen. You fight against the best. I don't take anything from him. I just think like he he maybe they rush him to the top 15. Because he doesn't have too many fights in UFC, but he has a great kickboxing experience background. So maybe they rush him, but I don't take anything from him. He's a good fighter, and November 12th we're going to have a great fight.
How much different is training camp this time compared to your last fight? Because your last fight was obviously hectic, short notice. You were in Brazil. Like, how much better do you think you will be now that you're back in Florida and be able to have that full training camp again?
Man, I think I just gonna have more gas tank, because right now I'm ready to put on a training camp like that to do all the rounds and the sparrings and all that stuff. Because I did that before, when I fought Hernandez, I was ready, I was in shape. But after the fight, I got a little lazy, and not lazy because I was still training, but like I was drinking some beer and having some fun, eating a little bit. But I don't take anything from this. From this, RDA is a great fighter, and I don't know. Like I said before, everything can happen in a UFC fight, and we're gonna see. But I feel we're gonna see a way better Moicano in my next fight.
Obviously, a ton of bodies at ATT, especially a ton of lightweights and featherweights. So, like, who are kind of the main guys you're working with for this camp?
Man, this camp I'm working with Achilles. He's a guy from Bellator, but he's really good, and he's like really powerful, and he's strong. So I train with everybody at ATT,
Mhm.
but for this fight, I training a lot with Achilles, a really good, really great fighter.
With Brad, like, how do you think you match up against him? He obviously comes from Adesanya's camp, a kickboxer. Like, how do you think you match up against him?
I think I can fight anybody in this division, in the world. I know how good I am, and I just have to. I feel like I can fight any style, So I can fight kickboxing, I can fight jiu-jitsu, wrestling. I can do it all. I can do all, But I have to take care because he's a good striker, So, but at the same time, I feel I can strike with anybody. So let's see. Let's see. I don't have any game plan for this fight. I'm gonna go over there and do my best.
Your grappling is obviously well known, but your striking has gotten better. Like, how much more comfortable are you on the feet now compared to the beginning of your career?
I don't know. I was always ready to fight in the stand up in the striking too. You know, my of course my background is grappling, jiu-jitsu, but I feel you have to do everything. So when I go to a fight, I don't think about, oh, this guy is best, he's better kickboxer than me, or better grappling. His MMA is a different sport. You see people from striking submitting grappling guys, uh, or beating grappling guys in the ground, and the same with grappling against striker against grappler. So it's MMA, different game. You have to have cardio, you have to have condition, you have to have a strong mindset. So I don't think separate. I think MMA is all together, and let's see who's the best.
You fought on a lot of big cards like Jones, Cormier, like the whole UFC 223 one. Like, this is a pretty big card itself, and at MSG, like, how exciting is that? Where you can be a part of this big card, then also fight at Madison Square Garden.
It's nice, but not too nice that I care about,
Mhm.
because in the end of the day, you have to win. If you fight in a big card and you lose, nobody give a shit about you. And this is like in life, in business, in fight. So I don't really care. It's nice because it's a bigger platform that can show the world how good you are and all that stuff. But in the end of the day, it's gonna be me and Brad Riddell on the cage, and just one gonna win. So I have to work hard. I have to do my camp and be sure that this guy is gonna be me. In the end of the day, I'm gonna have my hands raised.
Uh, but back in front of fans as well, like 3 straight fights in front of fans. How exciting is that then for you?
That's nice. That's really nice. I was missing that in my couple last fights. I fought for big audience, like you said. In Texas was amazing. In Las Vegas is always nice, and I fought in New York one time, and it was great. And I hope, like, and I hope everything goes the same way. Like a lot of people, a lot of attention, and I'm gonna give my best to beat this guy.
Oh, just building off that, like, how do you kind of see yourself winning this fight then?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Like I say, he's a good fighter. He has good grappling defenses, and obviously he's a striker. But we never know. We never know. But I am putting the work, and I'm putting uh, the training sessions and the strength and conditioning sessions and everything, and I'm gonna be on point. And I am sure that I'm gonna put on a show for you guys, and I'm gonna win over
Uh,
him.
Do you care about getting the finish, or is it more just getting the win and getting back in that win column and getting both your checks?
No, it's about double checks. It's about
Yeah.
winning, get paid, and look forward. For me, it's all about that. Going over there, get two checks, maybe three. We never know.
Mhm.
It's hard sometimes, but we always want to get more money, because in the end of the day, this is just business. It's not personal. I don't hate him, I don't like him, or I don't dislike him. I don't even care about nobody. That's the truth. I care about myself. I care about getting my money, and when I done with fight, I don't have to have another work. That's it. Be free. Free of work, free of obligations. I just want to go to the gym and
Mhm.
training every day. And for this to happen, I have to beat someone, and November 12th gonna be Riddell.
You get past Riddell, like, where do you think that puts you? Like, I have to think a ranked guy would be next.
I don't know. I have to look up the rankings, but I feel maybe I want Tony Ferguson. If
Mhm.
he's still over there, if he still want to fight, I want to fight Tony Ferguson or Dan Hooker. He's gonna fight the same card, or the guy gonna fight him. I want to fight somebody that, or maybe even Chandler. We never know. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna deliver a great performance, and I'm gonna call out names and big names, top 15, because I want big money, and it's gonna be a good opportunity for me to show my work and to show I have been working in everything in MMA. And November 12th, I can't wait. I can't wait to get there and do my job.
And then if Hooker wins, I think that makes a lot of sense just because him and Brad are teammates and really good friends. We could try to get one back for Brad.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. So be careful, Hooker. Be careful because I'm coming to New York, and I'm gonna beat you guys.
Are you hoping get a quick turnaround and fight on that Rio card in January?
Man, that would be amazing, no? Because I want to go to Brazil, but the flights are so expensive. Maybe I can use that to fight over there and have a little vacation in Brazil, Because nowadays the flights they are not cheap, man. So we have to save money. And if they give me a fight in Rio after my next fight, not disrespecting Riddell, he's a great fighter, but I feel if I have a quick finish or no injuries, I want to be fighting Rio too.
What would that mean for you to be back fighting in Brazil? Because it's been a couple years since you fought there.
Yeah, man, I don't really care. I'm telling you, I don't care about where I fight. It's gonna be nice because it's gonna save me a money for the flights because I'm gonna stay in Brazil. But I don't care if in Brazil, in China, or New York. Doesn't matter, man. It's just business, and if I can save some money on the flights after the fight, it's gonna be even better. But to be honest with you, I don't really care because, like I say, it's just business.
Just two more things. Like, what is kind of the goal then for you next year? Like, I know it's to be as active as possible. Do you have you set out goals to be like top 10 or have so many fights? Like, have you thought about that at all?
Yeah. I'm planning to make this fight and go to the top 15, and I want 2023 be my year again, be my year, and I want to show how good I am in this division, and I hope uh, I am in 2 or 3 fights in the top 10 on the top 5 because I know I belong to the top of the division, and I will climb my way over there. I'm not gonna take shortcuts. I'm gonna fight the best and prove myself to the world.
Just last thing, like probably about a month ago now, Jose Aldo retired. What was obviously you fought him, but coming from a Brazilian, like what did his kind of career mean to you and seeing him kind of and his legacy that he left behind?
Man, he's a great fighter. He was always an inspiration. I'm pretty sure for every Brazilian fighter, and to me, it was not different. I grew up watching him fight in WSC and all the shows, even before the UFC, and everybody talked about him. And I just wish him a good retire. Uh, spend time with his family. I know everybody say he save a lot of money so he can like I say before be free, doesn't have to do other stuff. He and I want to be like him, focus on my career, on my fighting career, and when I'm done, I have a lot of money and I have a lot of time to do what I love, that is training and spend time in the gym anyways. I just don't want to have to dedicate myself on a career, and after that career I have to still work. That's it for me. And I think he accomplished that, and he has like a legacy behind him who gonna push young Brazilians to go to the good way, to the good path. And I hope I can do the same as him. And one day I hope I retire as a champ. And let's see what the future have to show us. And I just wish him a good retirement and a good life.
Oh, well, Renato, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this again.
Thank you so much, my friend.
All right, we're jumping UFC bandwagon Chris Gutierrez, who's got a massive fight at MSG. Chris, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I always enjoy talking to you. Like, we also got to start right there. Like, how surprised were you when you got the call MSG Frankie Edgar's retirement fight? Like, did this kind of catch you off guard?
Yeah, kind of did, but just like anything, you stay ready and prepared. So when opportunities do present themselves, it makes it a little bit easier.
Not a ton of notice, like only got announced like about 4 or 5 weeks before the event. Like, is that when you found out, or did you kind of get rumblings you'd be fighting around then?
No, that's when I got it as well. The opportunity came, a couple of days ago when it was announced, and then it spread like wildfire after that.
What's it like for you and Jonathan? Like, both you guys I know are super close. Both you guys are very underrated, and now you both get a shot at fighting legends of the sport.
Yeah, we were me, Brandon, and Jonathan. We were just literally talking about that. How we're just three guys, that were looking at these guys fighting, coming up, watching them on TV and admiring them, and just being like, man, they're unbeatable. And then now, a couple of years later, now we're facing them. So it shows. I guess it shows you know everything we've had to do, coming up. So it shows that we're on the right path.
When the fight was announced, I saw kind of two opinions. One was, oh, they're getting Frankie a win in his retirement fight, and the other was they're building you off of Frankie in his final fight. Like, where do you kind of fall? Like, I imagine you probably thought of both scenarios. Like, oh, are they bringing me in to lose, or like, what do you kind of make of that?
I mean, that's kind of been my whole life. Really, I've been the underdog in everything growing up. I've always been the one getting shitted on. So to me, it's nothing. To me, it's normal. I've always been the underdog. So when people say that they're giving Frankie an easy fight, cool. Then we'll find out. We'll find out November 12th if that's really what it is.
And then another event with fans, but obviously this one on a pay-per-view in MSG. Like, how excited was that when you found out it'd be an MSG as well?
Oh man, it's a mecca. So to be able to perform there, and as a kid, growing up and looking at these places, and one day, could that be me? And it finally is. So I'm just along for the ride. I'm enjoying smelling the roses along the way, and it's something beautiful. And November 12th, I'll be able to make history again.
Obviously, Frankie's lost 2 in a row. Like, what have you made of his last 2 fights? Obviously, Corey got him early with that knee, and he was beating Cheeto until he got caught in that 3rd round.
Styles make fights. I can sit here all day and brainstorm what's going to happen, how it's going to go. The fight's going to go the way it's going to go. My job is to adapt, and and whatever happens in the fight as it plays out, be able to adapt with it and keep making sure your game plan is still going forward.
Are you expecting like the best Frankie we've seen in a while just because it is his retirement fight? Like, obviously he wants to win that final fight and he's going to kind of leave everything out there.
Of course. I don't expect Frankie to come out and be this out of shape Frankie Edgar. I don't think you'll ever see that. I don't think that's in his blood. I don't think he's wired that way. So I'm expecting the best Frankie that we possibly will see, and I'm expecting the best Chris as well. So the fans are going to be in for a good night.
How do you think you match up against him? Like, everyone kind of knows Frankie's pace, is good wrestler, good striker. Like, how do you think you match up against him?
I think I match up well. I'm younger, more explosive, more dynamic. I got a gas tank on me too. I'm here. I'm for it. I'm all for it. So, like I said, man, wherever the fight goes, my job is to be ready and be prepared for anything.
I know kicks are obviously a big part of your game, but do you kind of have to be like patient with those to not throw him in bad spots where Frankie could catch him and kind of take you down with how good of a wrestler he is?
Yeah. You can't just be, I can't just go out there and throw him naked. I have to really set him up. But at the same time, I pride myself in what I do. So part of me is like, well, let me throw a kick up there and see if you want to catch it.
Your speed too, like you're very fast bantamweight, like, and with Frankie getting older, like you kind of only get slower as you get up in age. So do you think your speed is going to play a big role in this one?
Maybe a little bit. I think Frankie's still, still fast and strong for where he's at. So, I hope to have the speed and power advantage, but I'm not training, for that to be my only answer, my only keys to victory. You got to have multiple ones in case one doesn't go as planned.
I obviously he's from that area, like he's from New Jersey. It's his retirement fight. Like, how do you kind of prepare? Because I think obviously you're going to be booed pretty heavily there. Like, how do you kind of mentally prepare that? Because everyone's going to be rooting for Frankie, especially in his last fight.
Well, of course, and I mean, I'm from the East Coast as well. I'm from New Jersey as well. So, but I get it. He's a well-respected person in our sport. So hats off to him. And like I said, I'm just along for the ride, and I'm just, I'm happy to be where I'm at. It's a wonderful experience, and to be a part of this is, again, I'm just making history as I go, and I don't plan on stopping, not anytime soon.
Is it kind of surreal to be fighting him just because like you obviously probably grew up watching him and kind of he's one of those kind of OG legends of the sport?
Yeah, it's yeah, it's just like you said, growing up and watching, I was watching Frankie when he was on that like MTV, like trying to make it as a cage fighter before he got in the UFC. So, I've been watching Frankie's career unfold in front of my eyes since I first started, and so to now be able to be in front of him, it's a dream come true, and it also shows, again, my path that I've chosen and the things that I've done to put myself in this position. So it's all lining up right,
I've talked to a couple fighters when they fight like these legends or like former champions, they kind of get a bit starstruck in that opening round just because it's like they didn't picture fighting them. Like, how do you kind of deal with that, and how do you make sure that doesn't happen to you?
Because at the end of the day, I have the things that I have to do. I have my goals and my dreams that I'm trying to make a reality too. So, he's I guess, how do you say it? Like, I wouldn't say I wouldn't get starstruck. I'm sure I'm gonna be like, damn, like I'm actually in front of Frankie, but I think I can put that away and do my job just because I know the things that I have to do, At the end of the day, I have to get past this test, so I'll find a way.
How do you kind of see this one playing out then?
You're gonna have to tune in.
Yeah. You get the win over Frankie. Like, what are those emotions like? Obviously, that's the biggest win in your career. But then, like on the flip side, like I'm sure, like we've talked about, like you grew up watching. Like it's gonna be sad to see him kind of put those gloves down and like end his career on a loss. Like, what are kind of those emotions like post fight then?
Yeah, I wish him the best in retirement. I wish him the best in health, and I hope for him to prosper in other ways. But as far as the fight goes, that's just our job. One of us is going to have to go home with an L, and the other one elevates. So that's just the way it is. I don't look at it any other way, because why would you look at it any other way? It is what it is.
Do you put any pressure on yourself to get the finish in your fights? Obviously, your last one was very impressive, that finish. Or is it more just about getting the win, kind of keeping the streak going?
No, of course you never want to hear, it could have went one way, it could have went the other, or yeah, this could have happened. I always want to finish the fight. You're fighting top level opponents. They're not just going to fall down. You know what I mean? So, of course, to get a stoppage would be phenomenal. No one can say anything else about that, So, yeah, I'm always trying to get the finish. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't.
Just last thing, like say you win, like say you do go out there and finish Frankie, or even it's just like a decision win. Like, what do you think that does for you? Where do you think that puts you in the division? Like, you look at the last two guys to beat him, or Corey Sandhagen and Marlon Vera. Like, they're right up there and beating, especially finishing Frankie. Like, I imagine you have to get another big name next.
Yeah, I mean, listen, whether you win this, whether I win this fight, knockout, submission, or decision, uh, the the point is to win, right? Whether I get a knockout, submission, or finish, a win's a win to me. Um, of course, you're always aiming to get to finish, but again, it doesn't always happen like that. A win over Frankie, of course, is going to keep pushing me to the top. I'm sure, if you finish in a spectacular way, of course, it helps, going into the next fight and doing all that other stuff. But I mean, a win's a win, really.
Well, Chris, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
All right, we're joined by UFC lightweight Matt Frevola, who gets that MSG fight again. Matt, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. Just embracing the grind of fight camp.
Yeah, like, what were you more excited for, MSG or the opponent? Because it seemed like both were something you really wanted.
Honestly, it doesn't get bigger than MSG. I was ready to fight anybody at MSG. So, but the opponent, a guy that I really want to beat up, that makes it just that much sweeter.
Obviously, I think people might know the full story with Ottman, but you're supposed to fight him at 256, the McGregor Poirier card in Abu Dhabi. That was, and then like he sneaks people into the bubble. He gets caught having stuff, and then he gets released, brought back. How kind of strange was that? And did you always know you'd end up fighting him, or did you think you'd end up fighting him?
Yeah, it was weird, and I didn't think I would end up getting a shot to fight him again, because Dana White cut him that day. But then as soon as I heard that they let him back in the UFC, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get that one back. I owe that dude an ass beating.
And then a lot of people obviously thought he was using steroids or an IV to help his weight cut. What do you kind of think he was doing?
Man, only he knows, only his team knows. But I think we all got a good idea. He gets caught with whatever was in that bag, and then they cut him, and then they let him back, and then they test him more times than they tested John Jones for some reason. So it's who knows, man? Who knows? But I'm hoping he shows up. I'm hoping he's ready to go. And I think this is going to be the first fair fight of his career.
Yeah, that's obviously a big thing is he's the most tested athlete. It has to be obviously for a reason they're testing him that much. So you mentioned there, do you kind of think he's been doing stuff for a lot of his career then?
Again, he's the only one that would know that, but in the end of the day, he's 13-0. He's had some great knockouts in the UFC. But he's never fought a guy like me, and I'm looking to really, really test him in there.
Oh, what have you made of his career? Obviously undefeated, 2 UFC fights, 2 first-round knockouts. Most of his wins are by first-round knockouts.
Yeah, that one knockout where he flatlined the dude was pretty. Well, that was a pretty awesome knockout. And then he knocked out Worthy. That was good. He's got heavy hands, no doubt, and I respect that. I respect what he brings. But he hasn't been tested yet, and that's what I plan on doing is really, really testing him. You never see how good of a fighter is until you see them face some adversity, and I'm definitely going to bring the adversity to him.
It will also be over 2 years since his last fight. How do you think that's going to impact him? Do you, a lot of people believe ring rust is real, some don't. Do you think that's going to play a role or impact him at all?
No, I don't think so. He's always a fast starter. A lot of his fights are first round finishes. So I think he's always going to kind of bring that nervous energy in there and want to go, right off the bat. So no, I don't think that'll affect him that much. But who knows what he's been doing for these 2 years? I know what I've been doing. I've been training. I've been fighting. So I think that's definitely an advantage for me.
Is it hard to prepare for him just because he hasn't fought for 2 years, or does it make it easier just because he is a very similar style. He's like just wants to keep it standing and is just like a fast starter. Where compared to like say match with a different guy that can grapple, can do all those different things, you don't really know which way they're gonna go.
Yeah, I've already done a whole fight camp preparing for this guy. I already had, I've already broken this guy down. This is the second time I'm, going through his fights, watching him and breaking him down. So it's easier. I've already prepared for him once, and I'm preparing for him again. So it's easy.
How much more like confident are you this time around? Just because like you're coming off that win where I think that's the best you've looked. Like you dominated Valdez from start to finish, dropped him what like 5-6 times. Like, are you more confident this time around than you were like 2021 when you're supposed to fight him?
Yeah, definitely. Even when I was supposed to fight him back then, I was on a 2-fight win streak as well. But my confidence comes from my preparation, and I'm always prepared. I always do what I need to do to be ready to go in there and fight my heart out, and that's what I plan on doing.
I know you bounce around a few different places. Like, who are kind of main guys? I saw you working with Billy recently. Then you always go up to like the Longo camps. Like, who are kind of main guys you're working with for this one?
Yeah, I'm back home right now, Long Island, New York. I'm training with Ray Longo. Ray Longo's, head coach right now, helping me with the whole camp. Matt Serra, everyone at Serra BJJ, helping me with my groundwork. And just the whole Serra Longo team. We just had a bunch of guys on the Contender Series that I was working with, sparring them, helping them for their fights all summer. And we got young killer after young killer coming up out of there. So it's no shortage of sparring partners. And then I was just out in Vegas last week, linked up with my boy Billy Q, and we got after it out in Vegas for a week, which was a nice little reset. And then now I'm back home, ready to finish camp.
Maybe a weird question, but like just with Ottman, like kind of everything that happened, like would you rather like just knock him out in the first round, or would you rather like prolong it and like really do damage to him?
Yeah, I'll never say I don't want a first round finish, or never say I don't want a first round knockout. In the end of the day, I go in there to finish my opponents. But I do want to drag this guy into deep water, and I want to feel him break. That's definitely what I'm looking forward to is when I'm on top of him, and I feel his will break, and then and I could smell the finish, and then we get it done.
Yeah, just with having so many first round finishes, like do you think you could frustrate him like second round starts, like he's not used to being there and you're still standing across the octagon from him?
Yeah, definitely. I 100% see that happening. If it gets to the second round, the third round, that's where I flourish. I'm I'm always in the deep water. In training, I train to prepare for the deep water. I don't think he's ever been there. Who knows if he's getting there in training? But I plan on dragging him to that deep water and then drowning him.
You kind of mentioned there, like, do you think it's probably gonna be a later TKO knockout then, or do you think even like a submission's possible here?
Yeah, I'm due for a choke. It's been a little while. I love jujitsu. I love submissions. I love every aspect of mixed martial arts, and I'm training with the killers at Sarah BJJ. And I would love to choke this guy's head off. That would be a nice one. But again, a finish is a finish to me. I love knockouts. I love submissions, but I love ending fights.
I'm not sure if you've seen the odds, but you're pretty big underdog here. Like, does that surprise you just because we haven't seen him fight in 2 years?
A little bit, definitely a little bit, but I've been an underdog my entire career, and I'm used to that, and I thrive in that underdog position. And after the fight, everyone's I'm gonna make more believers out of everyone, and in the end of the day, I'm the underdog, it just means all my buddies who are betting on the fights are gonna win too.
Oh, what do you think that walkout's going to be like for you back at MSG? Because you're going to be getting that big crowd applause.
Yeah, it's gonna be unreal. It's crazy to think that I'm going back to MSG like almost 4 years. 4 years later, since the first time I fought at MSG was my second UFC fight. Now we're going back, and this will be my 8th UFC fight. And it's a wild ride, and I always have November start on my calendar because I know the UFC is always going to MSG in November, and I'm pumped to get on this card. I'm pumped to get this opponent, and I'm ready to go out there and put on the best performance of my career.
You get the win over Ottman, hand him his first loss, like say it is a stoppage. Like, where do you think that puts you? Like, what do you think that does for you in this division?
It just keeps me winning, keeps me moving up. It's always one fight at a time for me. You never, tomorrow's never guaranteed. Anything could happen in this sport, so it's always one fight at a time. So, I'm looking to get this one done, get a big win at MSG for my home crowd, and then we reassess and we go from there. But I'm definitely looking to stay busy. I wanted to stay busy this year. We're gonna still get 2 fights in this year, but next year I wanna definitely get a lot of fights in.
And then I know after we talked after your last fight, like that was the last fight on your deal. Like, was it? I know when we talked, like you said, you wouldn't be opposed to fielding other offers. Like, was it always to re-sign at the UFC then?
No, it wasn't. But my manager at the time, it didn't sound like there was anyone really, interested. And then I had to change managers, and now I'm with KO Reps and Oren, and I'm real happy with him. And we got the UFC deal done, which is what I wanted. I wanted to stay in the UFC, and we got the MSG fight, so I'm happy.
Yeah, was that kind of the big thing you wanted then? Was that new deal in MSG? Like those are kind of the 2 big sticking points for you?
Yeah, but before that, I wanted the Patty fight in London,
Yeah.
Long Island fight. None of those worked out for me, but we got MSG, so that's all in the past now, and I've got my eyes set on November 12th, Madison Square Garden, and we're gonna be steamrolling through those doors and get it done.
Were you surprised you weren't on the Long Island card? Because they only had Burgos was the only New York guy on that card, and like none of the Long Island guys were even on it.
Yeah, I was really surprised, but I guess they changed the location, like or something, and it was something. That's what they said. They said that they didn't, they just picked the location too late, and then the card was full, and who knows, but next time they go in Long Island, it's not even going to be a question. They're going to know to put me on.
You get past Altman. Like, are you still hoping that Patty fight can happen next, or you kind of moved on and thinking he won't fight you?
No, that fight will happen. That fight will definitely happen, and I just hope he keeps winning, and I'm gonna keep winning, so to just make the fight for bigger stakes down the line.
Just last thing, you touched on it a bit, but just getting a more like a full answer is like, what is kind of the goal then for next year? Like you mentioned, you want to be active. Like, have you kind of laid out the ideal scenario for you?
Yeah, I'm gonna get this big win in November. I'm gonna enjoy Thanksgiving. It's always I always get that fight in right before Thanksgiving, so then I could, really have a nice Thanksgiving, and then back to training, have a nice Christmas, have a nice New Year, and then hopefully we get something in the beginning of next year, and we just keep it rolling. One fight at a time. Keep improving. Keep helping my team. And yeah, we just keep this rolling.
Oh well, Matt, I appreciate the time. Go Bills!
Yeah, the Bills are looking good, man. But those Dolphins gave you guys a whooping the other.
Wait till we play them again. Your brother DM'd me when they won.
I know, but now Tua is hurt, so now hopefully the Jets go out there and show the Dolphins what's good, and then that division's looking interesting now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Matt, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks, Cole. Good talk.
All right, we're joined by UFC middleweight Andre Petroski, who's back in action here pretty soon. Andre, how's it going, man?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me, Cole.
Yeah, obviously big fight, MSG. Like, how kind of excited were you when you got the call and there would be this date?
Yeah, so I mean, I pushed to get on this card. I kind of sacrificed a lot to get on this card. So, fighting at MSG is something that I've always dreamed of, and I'm really excited about having the opportunity to perform there.
What do you have to do then to get on this card? Like you said, you had to make some sacrifices then.
Well, for one, all my coaches are going to be gone for Sean.
Yeah.
They're all going to be out in Abu Dhabi. So, the timing ended up not being that great, but I still thought that it was worth it. And some other stuff behind the scenes, but it is what it is.
Obviously Sean fights I think it's 2 or 3 weeks before you. Like, so is that kind of the main guy you're working with for this camp, or like who are kind of the main guys you're working with?
I would say that like me and Sean are kind of like the priority right now. Just making sure in practice that we have our training partners and we have the space in the gym. But we haven't been really training together as much. It's been more so like me and Sean in and 2 fresh guys circling in on us rather than us going with each other.
And with your opponent, Wellington Turman, like, were you surprised this was the guy that you got?
Kind of. I mean, it makes sense. Like, he's Pereira's teammate, and obviously they wanted to get him on the same card. His gym is driving distance from Madison Square Garden, so it makes sense. But I don't know. I'm excited for it. I think I think I'm better than him in every aspect, and I think that it still does something for what I'm trying to do. Like, it still is another, if I go out and do what I know that I'm capable of doing, it just shows that, it proves my point even more. I've been saying that I'm the best grappler in this division. I've been continuing to prove it, and going out and submitting another Brazilian black belt it just further proves my point.
Yeah, because I thought you actually could have gotten a guy like a bit more notable, or a guy kind of more near the rankings than Wellington. But then I guess you did make a lot of sense with him being Pereira's teammate, which I forgot about, which probably is a big reason why I guess you got the fight.
Yeah, I mean, I've been some of the guys that I continue to call out have either said no or the UFC doesn't want to do it for whatever reason. So, it is what it is. The one that obviously I still want is Mearshart, and which I think it will happen, but the UFC wanted to give him more time. He had just fought, and at the time, I don't know, they didn't want to do that.
What have you made of his UFC run? Like 3-3, 2-fight winning streak. Like, what have you kind of made of his run so far?
I think he's still young, and I think that he still has like a future in the UFC, especially winning his last 2. I think he's got a little bit of momentum back. But I just think stylistically is a terrible matchup for him.
His losses in the UFC have been by knockout. Like, I know you said there you want to submit him, but like, is this fight you think you are the better striker than him?
Yeah, I think it's a great matchup for me to display my striking. Like, I come from a very good striking camp. John Marquez and Jonathan Webb are tremendous striking coaches. And so, like, it's a good opportunity for me to display that.
With Wellington, though, too, like, he is a grappler at heart, but you're a very good grappler yourself, like we saw what you did to Nick Maximoff. So do you think he'll shoot on you, or do you think he'd rather keep it standing with you?
I don't think that – I mean, he is a black belt, and he does like to grapple, but I don't know, man. I mean, I didn't think Maximoff was going to try to take me down either, but we saw how that went.
So how do you kind of see this fight playing out then?
I think that I clip him at some point on the feet, and when he's hurt, I'll probably grab his neck and submit him.
For you, like, is that something you personally want to do, is submit another one of these, like, black belts, just so it kind of goes on your cap, so you can, like, only adds to your resume that you are the best grappler in this division?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my goal is to get a new contract for sure. And, I need to get a finish. I need to win this fight first and foremost, and then get a finish and go into these negotiations at 4-0 with 4 finishes.
Well, is this the last fight on your deal then?
So I came from the Ultimate Fighter contract, which
yeah.
is 6 fights.
So I guess 4-0 with the 4 finishes, though. It's a good negotiation to get a new one, though.
It certainly helps, that's for sure.
With it being in November, like, probably it then for you this year, like, what is kind of the goal then for next year?
I really need a new contract.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be my priority. But aside from that, everyone knows I'm down. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if it's, short notice. I don't care where it is. And I don't really care who it is, to be honest. I'm down to fight for sure. I would love I'd love Bo Nickel. I would love a lot of these guys that.
You just brought up, obviously, Bo Nickel. Like, what are your kind of thoughts on him? Because it seems like the UFC's going to be giving him a big push.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly didn't like that he was talking all that shit about how, there's no one in the division that has 10% of his wrestling, yet he's turned me down twice for Fury. He keeps saying he's the best, but then he keeps turning down matchups with me. I didn't like that personally.
Is that like a guy you plan to call out, or would you rather stick with the Meerschaert call out after this fight?
To be honest, I didn't think he would ever fight me. I thought that it would be more fair to give him a grappling match. And that's what we tried for. But now that he's running his mouth in MMA, it's like, well, you're in my division. You're talking shit. You're in the UFC. Like, might as well just fight me.
But do you think the UFC would give you that fight? Because it's like, I kind of think they're going to go with that, like, O'Malley Patty route, where they kind of give them those easier matchups and build them up, rather than throwing them like a tough guy like you.
I think that, if he beats Pickett, he's probably in the top 40, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm 32, 34.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what more do you want,
You said he turned you down for the grappling. Like, was there ever a reason why?
Well, the first time he wanted like an astronomical amount of money for a grappling match. Like, they offered him like 20 grand and he wanted like 50 or something ridiculous. Yeah. And at the time he was nobody, literally no one. And then the second time he just messaged me and was like, nah, man, I'm sorry. It's probably not going to happen. I was like, all right, just stop fucking running your mouth.
Just two more things. Like obviously the gym suffered the first loss with Pat. Like how kind of hard was that? Because Pat was in a tough spot where obviously Damon's brother died. Like everyone's kind of rooting for Damon to win. Like for you guys, I know that was like that perfect record, something you guys were really going for. It's like how kind of tough was that for the gym then his loss?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all know what we signed up for. I think that Pat has lost fights before and he understands. Obviously, he's upset, but I think from my end watching, I think it's a good learning experience for him. I think he could do a couple things differently, specifically with his weight cut. But I think that I think he'll be fine. He's one of the most talented kids in the gym. Like, I don't know if a lot of people know Pat's experience, but he has like international sambo experience. He has Division I wrestling experience. His striking is phenomenal. Like, the dude is by far the most extensive martial arts experience on the team. He's an animal. Like, he'll be fine. He'll bounce back. I think it's all learning experience. I think he's a great kid, and I think he'll show that, he is a champion and he'll come back.
Well, Andre, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me.